How can you be so blind? This wedding is a joke and you know it. You still have time to call it off, you know. You're only setting yourself up for failure. It's going to be a nightmare. Don't you see how ridiculous you are? Pretending to be in love with my brother? He's way too good for you. I've told you before, and I'll tell you again. You need to change your mind. You know it's a terrible idea. You know he's not into you. Hello? Are you deaf or something? Do you think ignoring me is going to solve anything? You don't even know anything about manners or etiquette. You have no idea how to act in a civilized society. Not that I would expect someone who grew up in an orphanage to know anything about that. You have no class, no culture, no family. People like you are all the same. You're just parasites, trying to feed off others. Your audacity is unbelievable. How dare you ignore me when I'm trying to help you out? Who do you think you are? You're nothing but a pathetic orphan who wants to play house with my brother. You're insane.
Oh, sorry. I didn't notice my phone ringing. Good evening, Kylie. By the way, do you have any sense of time? Or do you just enjoy disturbing people's sleep?
Finally, it's about time you responded. You sure took your time. I shouldn't expect anything less from someone of your ilk. Typical. You shouldn't keep people waiting when they are talking to you. It's incredibly rude.
It's 3 in the morning, Kylie. It's not exactly the most convenient time for a conversation. And when you say tomorrow, don't you mean today? Again, it's 3 in the morning. The day of my wedding, as you so kindly reminded me.
Don't be ridiculous. There's never a better time to bother you. I'm just getting home from a date. I know you weren't doing anything important right now anyway. I hope you're wide awake now, so maybe I can have your attention.
You do realize that the world doesn't revolve around you and your strange time schedule. You know that I'm anxious about my wedding. I've not been able to get any sleep tonight. I had finally fallen asleep after thrashing about for hours. I wish I would have lasted a bit longer. The wedding is still going to happen. Are you happy with that answer? Hopefully that clears up any of your concerns or questions. Good night.
Except that you knew that I don't approve of this wedding at all. I think that's an opinion you should be a bit more concerned about than you are.
Why do you keep calling me? It's 3 in the morning. I've had enough of your harassing phone calls and messages. You're bothering me in the middle of the night about things that don't concern you at all. And you keep talking about manners when there is absolutely nothing polite about what you're doing.
I don't need a lecture from you of all people about manners. Someone raised in an orphanage wouldn't know the first thing about it. My older brother deserves better than some orphan for a wife. It makes me sick to think we could be relatives. There's still time to break off the engagement. Why don't you do everyone a favor and stop it?
Don't hold your breath. It doesn't matter how many times you say it. It isn't going to change a thing. You keep going on and on about how I grew up in an orphanage, too. You still haven't told me what you think is so bad about it. I have so many amazing friends from where I grew up that are doing great things. One of them had even been adopted by the president of a really reputable company. So many of them are doing so well in their new situations. Friends that have gotten great jobs and are living happily, and we all were at the same orphanage.
That's irrelevant, of course. It doesn't change the fact that you and all of your friends are still orphans. You'll never belong to anything. You'll never have a normal family with parents or anything. You'll never change that. You and I are nothing alike. You'll never have what I do. It's a little sad for you, isn't it? You'll only ever be alone, even if you marry into another family. And if you marry into a family, you'll only lower the status of that family because of who you are.
The only thing bringing down the status of your family is the weight of your miserable, stone-cold heart.
What a humorous little joke you came up with. I'm a full-time employee at one of the most popular companies in the country. I'm loved by the president of the company and everyone around me. Even all of the managers think highly of me, though it's not hard to see why I'm so likable. I have a proper and full education, having gone to a private high school and university. My job is better than any you will ever dream of getting. In comparison, you've only been through high school. You work at a company no one has ever heard of, and you're still an orphan on top of that. My older brother is a university graduate and working at one of the most reputable banks in the country. Don't you think that just maybe you don't really fit in with our family? I think before you go thinking about familial status and all of that, you should take another look at the clock. You might have forgotten what time it is in your long text rant. I'm sure you'll find plenty of time to bother me in the morning. I don't know how you could have so much time on your hands to bother me. Even if I ignore you, the messages don't stop coming. If I block you, you just make another account or ID to keep bothering me from. Do you really have all that free time working for such a big, important company? How do you get any work done that your coworkers love you so much? Since you can't seem to take a hint, I'll gladly be the one to remind you that no one wants you to marry my brother. If you hate it so much, break off the engagement and get lost. You'd make everyone much happier. You're such an eyesore. Just the thought of you disappearing is cathartic. Are you really planning on coming to the wedding in such a hateful mood? I think you'll have a hard time enjoying the ceremony, being surrounded by people who don't agree with you. Maybe you should change your tune a bit and you'll have a better time. So what you're saying is you'd like the wedding to go by without a hitch tomorrow, right? What are you getting at? It would be unfortunate if tomorrow didn't play out. How? You are hoping it will. That's all. Anything could happen between now and the wedding. I'll be going now. I've had my fill of you for the evening. Get lots of sleep. You'll need it, I'm sure. So, have you come to your senses yet? Have you called off this sham of a wedding? You know it's only a matter of time before everything goes wrong. You know the wedding is doomed, right? It's never going to happen. Don't count on me being there or my parents. How do you like that? How do you like knowing your ceremony will be missing some key guests? What nonsense are you spouting? Your dad and mom are looking forward to the wedding. Why would you miss such an important day? Really? My mom and dad can't already be at the wedding, right? They are actually at the wedding. Huh? How did they get to the wedding? Didn't their tire get deflated overnight? I should have known. Why did you do that? Do you realize what you were doing? Your mom and dad got here early to help me and your brother get ready. They were worried that you would keep harassing me with your messages like last night. You can't be serious. The wedding ceremony can't happen, right? What kind of ridiculous question is that, Kylie? Of course the wedding is happening. You can't seriously be asking that. Do you know how much everyone has put into getting this wedding prepared? Do you realize how much time people have set aside for this wedding? To be here today? Well, I'm not there. I am the sister of the groom. What kind of wedding doesn't have important family members present for the ceremony? Don't you think an empty seat in the front row of the audience will stand out? Your presence at the wedding has no bearing on whether or not the event will occur, Kylie. I think you are inflating your importance at your brother's event. You have been a nuisance to your relatives for too long. Your behavior is certainly no mystery to everyone else. We made sure all of the relatives would be sitting the furthest from where your brother and sister-in-law will be. Even at the reception, one empty seat isn't going to make much of a scene, I can assure you. The wedding can't happen if I'm not there. That's horrible. You are totally out of line, Kylie. I'm going to be your sister-in-law. You try to prevent your mom and dad from attending the wedding ceremony by deflating their tires on their cars. You put their phones God knows where to try to keep us from contacting anyone. What is wrong with you? I don't approve of my brother getting married to you. Never! Kylie, your foolishness about this wedding has been egregious. This wedding isn't about you or your feelings. If this goes on any longer, you won't have a home to come back to. I think you can start working on your redemption by getting the cars on the tires fixed. Maybe you'll learn to take responsibility for your actions, too. I am more than happy with letting the wedding fall apart. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. And don't talk to me about responsibility. I don't need to be taught anything unlike you. What would an orphan know about responsibility? The whole wedding is shameful for our family.
Hi there. Nice to meet you. This is Kylie's boyfriend, Preston. Sorry for the random message, but I thought we should talk. I had asked her for your contact information.
Is there something I can help you with?
She had told me that it's your fault. She was disowned by her family. Don't you feel bad? She's your sister-in-law after all. It's a bit immature of you to be so spiteful. You two are now family by marriage. I think you should get in touch with her directly and apologize. You can still mend your relationship. She told me you grew up in an orphanage. Is that true? I think maybe you don't realize how you're acting towards your new relatives because of your upbringing. You should try to be more thoughtful when handling situations like this. I hope that you understand where I'm coming from.
It's incredible that you thought to reach out to me out of the blue and try to explain the situation to me, especially when you don't even understand the full circumstances from both parties. Did you ever think to figure out the entire situation before going ahead and making accusations? The fact that she was kicked out of her parents' house isn't my fault. She made the choice as she did, and she has to live with the consequences.
Then, could you enlighten me with what exactly she did from your perspective?
You didn't hear about what happened on the day of the wedding from anyone else? Only from her twisted point of view? For starters, she told us an hour before the wedding ceremony that she wouldn't be coming. She deflated the tires on her own parents' car. She hid their phones so they wouldn't be able to call anyone. She did everything she could to try to ruin the wedding. Mind you that this is her brother's wedding too.
Did she really do that? I hadn't heard about this from her.
Of course, she didn't mention it. When her father asked her to compensate for what happened to the tires being ruined, she was belligerent. Her dad also told her to apologize for canceling at the last minute too, and she wasn't happy about that either. She fought with them about the whole thing, and they weren't going to put up with that. That's why she got kicked out of the house. It has nothing to do with anything I did. She said she was totally fine with being kicked out, and that she would just move in with her boyfriend.
Yes, I do remember her messaging me that day about moving in together. The idea totally came out of nowhere. That's why I got in touch with you now. Is there any way you two can reconcile so she can patch things up with her parents?
Why is it on me to fix anything? She should be apologizing to me, if anything.
Well, because you married her brother, which is what she's been upset over, right? Wouldn't you think it's fair to say that you're the cause? I think that you should be the one to make the first step in this situation based on that alone.
She's an adult. She's capable of making her own decisions and owning up to what she's done. Besides, it seems like it was always her intention to move out of the house and in with you. She jumped at the opportunity when it presented itself. So do what you will with that information. She can figure it out on her own.
But this is putting me in a bind. You say to look at the situation from both perspectives, but this is affecting other people now too. The thing is, we aren't actually living together right now. She can't live with me. It would be too difficult.
Difficult? What are you talking about? The two of you are dating. Why would living with her be causing you any difficulties?
Because none of these issues have anything to do with me, and I don't want any part of it. She's bringing all these family issues you all have and bothering me with them. And my place is too small for her and I to live together. I can't handle all of these issues and have her move in with me. She can't. There is no way to make it work.
It sounds to me like this has absolutely nothing to do with me. I think you should tell her about all your issues you're having with her and leave me out of it. Your issue was with her, not with anything that concerns me.
This is exactly how Kylie said you would react. She said you would behave rudely since you never learned manners in your orphanage.
You know, Kylie always says the same. The only problem you two have with me is that I didn't have a traditional family growing up. Is that the only bad thing you can say about me?
You also only just got a job out of high school, didn't you? You didn't pursue any further education, And we're just having this idiotic conversation because you don't seem to understand what's going on. You're nothing like Kylie and I. You're totally incompetent, and you'd be better off doing what you're told.
Does this have anything to do with what we were just talking about?
It absolutely does. If I say you need to get this figured out with your sister-in-law, you should do it. That should be something within the realm of possibility, even for someone as incompetent as you.
What right do you have to make any demands? You're dating my sister-in-law, and I have no idea who you are. I've never met you. I don't owe you anything. What reason do I have to do anything on your behalf? Or hers, for that matter? I don't even know what you look like, buddy. And it seems like the only thing you know about me is whatever garbage she's fed you, and her favorite thing to say is that I grew up in an orphanage.
I'll have you know that I come from one of the most respected and reputable families, but I wouldn't expect you to know anything about that. After I graduated, I became the manager at one of the wealthiest companies in the country. In the same year, I was able to get a promotion. The head of the department thinks I'm one of the best at the company, and my work shows for itself. I think you're just resentful of people like Kylie and I because of your lower status.
You and Kylie sure do love that word, status. Almost as much as you both love saying orphanage. I have nothing to do with her no longer living with her family. I'm tired of you trying to pin this on me. Her parents made her leave after she did what she did. I have nothing more to say to you about this. Don't bother me about this anymore. Stop messaging me and get lost.
Wait a minute. You can't just keep ignoring this.
Have you given any thought to divorce yet? You know, I might still forgive you if you go ahead with the divorce. Also, you could compensate for my parents' tires. Then I could drive you back to where you belong. Wouldn't that be so kind of me to help you out?
Pay for the tires? You mean the ones that you messed up on the day of my wedding? Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think that's your problem, not mine. Don't forget about paying the damages, too.
What on earth are you talking about?
Oh, you didn't hear anything about it. Preston should have mentioned it by now, I'd think.
Mentioned what? Why are you bringing up my boyfriend?
Your boyfriend comes from such a well-known family, doesn't he?
Of course he does. He's nothing like you, that I can assure you. When he and I get married, I'll be even more wealthy and elevate my status even higher than it is now.
Right. But didn't you hear that he was disowned?
Disowned? What are you talking about?
I'm surprised you didn't hear about it. He was totally disowned from his family. He got disowned just like you did.
Isn't that a funny coincidence? Wait a minute. Explain yourself. What do you mean he was disowned?
Well, because he cheated and everything for a wealthy family and reputable family. It's not good to be involved in any scandals or anything like that.
That got out?
It's pretty horrible of you. I never would have expected something like that. Dating a married man.
Even I was shocked. He and his wife haven't been doing well. He isn't happy with her. I was only waiting for them to get divorced.
I don't think he had the same plan as you did.
What do you mean?
After he cheated and his wife found out, she told him she wanted a divorce. It turns out that he didn't want that to happen. He cried and begged for her not to leave him.
You're lying.
Unfortunately for him, they're currently in divorce mediation. How sad. But his wife said she was planning on looking for settlement of her alienation of affection from you.
Why do you know everything about this? This is my boyfriend's marriage. Why would you know anything about it?
I know his wife. She and I grew up in the same orphanage. We're very close friends.
She what? She grew up with you?
I think I mentioned this to you before. I'm pretty sure I mentioned a friend of mine in particular that was doing really well for herself, having been adopted by a very kind and wealthy family. She had been adopted by a very wealthy family, and since then she had been loving her new life and family. I have a lot of great friends, like I said before, doing very well. I'm not really sure how she ended up meeting Preston. Maybe his family had met hers before. But then she ended up marrying into their prestigious family, as you love to put it.
I lost him to someone who was an orphan?
Since Preston's family and his wife's family are both very well known, it was quite a difficult situation for them. Your involvement with Preston wasn't good for his family's reputation, I guess. It put their family in quite a predicament. I suppose the best choice for them was to disown their son because of his cheating. Maybe they thought it had saved their whole reputation or something.
I don't believe you. You're lying to me. He couldn't have been disowned. How could this happen?
When you had said you were going out to stay with your boyfriend, he had reached out to me about how I needed to get in touch with you to fix things. When he said that it would be too difficult for you to move in with him, I was curious. I figured maybe something was up. I wanted to see if I could figure anything out. But it was actually your brother who did the investigating.
My brother?
I had gone to my friend's wedding too, actually. But from the beginning, I never saw Preston there. It was very strange.
Wait a minute. You said they were getting divorced, though, didn't you? Maybe this isn't exactly ideal, but I think the result of all of this should be fine.
I don't think you understand that he doesn't want to get married to you. He lost his job. He will also have to pay child support and alimony. This isn't exactly what you were hoping for, is it?
He lost his job and child support? He has a child?
Only just recently. But yes, they have a son. And the company that he has been working at, that you work at too, right? The president is my friend's adoptive father. Did you not know that either?
I didn't. Wait. I cheated with the president's daughter's husband?
I think you have made yourself a very unfortunate enemy.
Did I only get so far in my job because of Preston? Because he is in such a high position in the company?
He is the coworker you had mentioned being so close with, isn't he? You know, there's a lot of risk with getting involved with someone in the same company as you. How fortunate for you. I think this will be a great learning opportunity for you. You can learn some responsibility like an adult should.
This isn't what I wanted. I'm going back home. Tell Dad for me that I'll be there.
I think that might be a little difficult. We've already moved things around so that my husband and I have enough space for the time being.
You moved in?
Yeah, the conversation had come up a little while back. Your situation with taking off with your boyfriend made things a little uncertain. They didn't know what to make of it at the time. He and I had moved in for now in order to save more money while our house is being built. And since they did say that they wanted nothing to do with you anymore, I'm not sure how that will end up going for you. They've been happy to have us living with them, though.
But it's my home. It's my family home.
I beg to differ. Looks like you've got yourself in quite the pickle, princess.
Cut it out. It's not like I abandoned them.
You didn't need to. Your actions led them to finally reaching their limit with you. They were your family and have been so kind to you and did their best to raise you. They did everything they could for you, and having a place to call home and a family to come back to, you took that for granted. That isn't right, and you know it, Kylie. It's sad that someone who grew up without a family has to teach you that.
I don't want to hear any more about this.
There isn't anything more I have to say about it. I hope you take care of yourself. Goodbye, Kylie.
Wait, Janet. I don't know what to do. Tell Mom and Dad I'm sorry. Please, I want to come back. Please, sis.
Preston and Kylie's affair was no secret. Everyone at their workplace knew about their illicit relationship. They both quit their jobs at the same time, hoping to escape the scandal and start a new life together. But they couldn't escape the consequences of their actions. Preston lost a fortune in alimony and child support, as his ex-wife took him to court and demanded a hefty settlement. He had to move away from Kylie, who only brought him trouble and drama. Kylie had to pay back her parents for ruining their cars, as she had slashed their tires on the day of her brother's wedding. She also had to settle with Preston's ex-wife, who sued her for emotional distress and defamation. Her parents still resented her for sabotaging her brother's wedding, as she had called them an hour before the ceremony and told them that she wouldn't be attending. She was left alone, with barely enough money to survive. Maybe she learned her lesson about responsibility, but it was too late to undo the damage she had done.